I'll be giving my week 5 rankings up. I still have Ohio State at number 1 and Texas at number 2, and I only moved Alabama up to number 3 because even though Alabama got the win over Georgia, who is a really good team, I still think that if Ohio State played Alabama, Ohio State would win because of defense. And I think if Texas played Alabama, and Texas had Quinn Ewers healthy, that Texas would win because of Texas having a better defense, I think. And then Georgia, I only moved down to, I actually moved them up one from number 5 to number 4 because Ole Miss lost, and Georgia only lost by a touchdown to Alabama, who is obviously a really good team. And Oregon, I moved them up to number 5. They did okay against UCLA. They won 34-13. They still don't look great though overall yet. I watched most of that game, and their offense started off really good. They got points in all of their first 5 possessions, all that came in the first half of the game. But then after that, their offense kind of went dead, only getting one more score in the game. They do have some things to work on before they play Ohio State. But right now, I do think that they have a chance to win that game. And right now, to me, it's clear that Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and Oregon are uh, probably the 5 best teams in the country. And Tennessee, I've got at number 6. They didn't play this week, but I don't think that Tennessee will be ranked this high when the season's over. I am pretty sure that they're going to lose to Alabama and Georgia this year. And I really don't think they're an elite team. I just think they're a good team. And then Miami, I've got at number 7. They really struggled with Virginia Tech. Just barely getting the win at 38-34. Giving up 34 points in that game was not a very good defensive performance for Miami. And Virginia Tech, lost to Vanderbilt, who is a horrible team, and they already had 2 losses before this game against Miami. That was not a very good performance by Miami. But Cam Ward is still an amazing quarterback that will make them still the favorite to win the ACC. But I have my doubts about them being able to go past that. Of course, they'll get a playoff spot if they win the conference, but I have my doubts about them being able to win a playoff game. And then I've got BYU at number 8. So right now, BYU does look like the best team in the Big 12 conference, but they did just barely get by Baylor, who's a terrible team, only winning 34-28 last Saturday. And number 9, I've got Penn State. So they played Illinois and won at 21-7. That was a decent win because Illinois was undefeated going into the game. But I still don't trust Penn State's offense to do enough for them to be able to win a big game. And then Iowa State, I've got at number 10. They are a surprise team, it seems like this season, like I thought they would be. They got a blowout win last Saturday, 20-0 over Houston, who I know is a horrible team, but still, Iowa State looks like a team that could compete for a Big 12 championship this season. And then at Michigan, I've got it number 11. So they did not do very well last Saturday against Minnesota, only getting the win by 3 points. Minnesota has not looked good at all this year. Offensively, I don't think they did bad. Scoring 27 points wasn't bad for a team that doesn't have a quarterback like Michigan, but giving up 24 points to Minnesota, I don't think was a very good defensive performance, as talented as Michigan's defense is. I still think Michigan's going to lose to Oregon and Ohio State. probably lose to Ohio State badly. And I wouldn't be surprised if they lose a game that they're not supposed to lose after what happened in the Minnesota game. And then USC, I've got it number 12 right behind Michigan because Michigan did beat USC. So USC did not play well at all in the first half last Saturday against Wisconsin. They were behind 21 to 10 at the half, but they played really well in the second half and ended up winning the game 38 to 21. So overall, they did okay, but they didn't look great. To can give a comparison, Alabama played Wisconsin and won 42 to 10. So I really doubt that USC is an elite team this year, but I do think that they're a for sure top 20 team. And then LSU, I've got right behind USC at 13 because USC has the win over LSU. So LSU just played South Alabama, but they did okay. They won 42 to 10. So no real reason to move them up or down. And then Missouri, I've got it 14 because even though they're undefeated, I think they're overrated. The AP has them ranked like number 6, and I think that is way too high. Missouri's a team that I would be shocked if they won 10 games this year, even though they have probably the easiest schedule in the SEC. And then 15, I've got Notre Dame. So Notre Dame did get a pretty good win last Saturday because they did beat Louisville. They won the game 31 to 24. And 16, I've got Kansas State. They still look like one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year. And then 17, I've got Arizona ahead of Utah, who I've got at 18. Because Arizona did get the win over Utah last Saturday, and they each have one loss. And of course, I've got Arizona right behind Kansas State because Kansas State has the win over Arizona. But I do still think that if Cameron Rising ever decides that he wants to play football again, that Utah probably is the best team in the Big 12. I don't think Utah would have lost that with Cameron Rising. And then I've got South Carolina at 19 and Ole Miss at 20 because they have the same record. They have the same amount of losses, and Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, who South Carolina has a blowout win against. And South Carolina's only loss came against LSU, and it was a really close loss. And Ole Miss, the only wins they have are against either little teams or Wake Forest, who's a horrible Power Four team. But Ole Miss and South Carolina are going to play this Saturday, so after that game, it'll become clear who should be ranked higher between the two of those teams. And then I've got Oklahoma at 21. So it's really impressive that they're even able to win any SEC games right now because they're playing second and even third string offensive linemen. And they were missing last Saturday all of their starting wide receivers. And then they've got a true freshman playing quarterback. But they were able to come back and get the win over Auburn. They were behind 11 points and ended up winning at 27 to 21. And they do have a good defense, but if they don't get much healthier, they're not going to be able to compete in the SEC like against the really good teams. But possibly if they do get healthy, they could. And then Clemson, I've got at number 22. They just played Stanford, who's a horrible team, but they did win big. They won 40 to 14. And then Texas A&M, I've got it number 23. So they got the win over Arkansas in a close one, 21 to 17. But Texas A&M still didn't have their starting quarterback in that game. So their defense did a good job holding the Bobby Petrino offense to just 17 points. And I still think that if Texas A&M can get their starting quarterback back, that they can have a good season. And then I've got Louisville at number 24 because even though they lost, they did play close with Notre Dame, and I still think that they're going to have a pretty good season. And then I've got Boise State at number 25 because they're 3-1, and they did get a blowout win over Washington State last Saturday, who I know got a blowout win over Texas Tech earlier in the season. And Boise State's only loss comes to Oregon, who they almost beat. They only lost to Oregon by 3 points. Boise State, I think, has a good chance to be that group of five team to get a playoff spot. And they have one of the best players in college football, running back Ashton Jeanty, who already has over 800 yards rushing this season in only 4 games. I've seen that he could be a Heisman candidate this season. And then the other teams just outside of the top 25 that I want to mention are Indiana and Rutgers. They're both undefeated, and I wouldn't be shocked if either one of them ends up ranked in the top 25 at the end of this season or before in my rankings. So that will be it with this video, and please subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.